Welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast, where hunters new and old come to learn and find inspiration from stories of hunts gone by. Everyone is welcome to enjoy the outdoor way of life, and there is no better time to start than right now. So let's head into the great outdoors with your host, Dylan Ray.
All right. Thank you for joining us today on Bear Archery's Hunting 101. I am joined by Mr. Mike Pelletier of Hardcore Pursuits. Mike, how are you, man?
Doing great. A little bit cold, but I'm doing good, man.
Yeah. You were telling me about your weather, before we started the call, and talk about a little bit cold. You're sitting at -20, you said.
Yeah, it's been like that for about 10 days. We're getting into the -20s, -30, and then, our highs have been 3 degrees, 5 degrees, 8. Looks like it's going to last about 4 more days, and then we're going to get back into some normal 20s and 15 type degree weather.
Good grief, man. See, our lows right now are about 4 to 5. And and I think next week we drop down to about -9. But I've been freezing cold, so I can't imagine how cold you guys must be, man. I go out to get some firewood, and I come in freezing cold, ready for a cup of coffee. So I cannot imagine getting down to -20, -30.
Yeah, it gets a little worse every year as you get older, and but when you grow up with it and you're around it, you get kind of used to it. It's a different quality of life way up here. As I was telling you, I live straight north of where the Green Bay Packers play, about 120 miles in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And it's a wonderful culture up here. Our summers, our falls, our springs are beautiful and amazing. But January and February really make you question why you live here once in a while. But the good outweighs the bad, that's for sure.
So are you a Packers fan?
I am not. I live in Michigan. I was a Lions fan, but honestly, I'm not really any fan of any pro sports anymore since they started all this political stuff.
Yeah.
I would never waste a Sunday sitting inside watching TV when I can be out in the woods in the fall. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true, man. I am I'm a Razorback fan. I grew up born and raised in Arkansas. And so I'm a Razorback fan, grew up about 40 minutes from the university there. And one time on a Saturday afternoon, I remember we were playing Texas A&M, and that was when they had Johnny Manziel real good. And I was sitting in a tree stand, and it was a real close game. I don't remember if we had the lead or we were about to take the lead, and something happened, and they scored, and I had a bunch of does underneath me, and they scored, and I remember verbally yelling. And all the deer cleared out, and I'm like, okay, no more watching football in the tree stand.
Yeah.
Same with church. Don't try to watch football or basketball during church because, that just doesn't work. But,
Nope.
Man, before we jump in, give me a quick introduction to yourself, kind of what all you do. You've been doing this for a while. So tell me how you got here. Tell me how you got started with all this. And, man, just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a late 40s guy now. When I was about late 20s, I decided that I wanted to get into outdoor television. I had, videoed some hunts as a teenager and hauled a big camera around with the big VHS tape in it, and always enjoyed just trying to capture, video of animals and, hopefully some good harvested deer and stuff like that. And I don't know, the outdoor TV scene started to get really big probably 16, 17 years ago, whenever that was, probably in the early 2000s. And, the Outdoor Channel got big. Sportsman came onto the scene, and there was a lot of shows on then. And I just remember had a couple buddies over having a few adult beverages when I was in my late 20s, and I said, I'm going to start a hunting show. Seems like a lot of these guys are from the South, and you don't really see anyone representing the North. So I actually just made the investment into some equipment and put together some videos and some trailers, and started shipping out DVDs to different manufacturers. Like, one of the Heater Bodysuit was one of them, and True Fire Releases was down in Wisconsin from the original owners. And I just remember them responding back to me in a mail, we'd really like to get involved. I like what I see. Give me a call. And that's when things started to get real. So that was about 17 years ago. We are now filming our 15th season, and I make a full-time living doing it. And it's not that easy. A lot of what you see on TV are, shows that have been backed by athletes and country music stars and big financial backing, and we are the opposite of that. And I think that's why we've had so much success over the years. A big part of it's not all about just making a video. You got to run. It's a business. You have to be able to sell sponsorships, and not only sell sponsorships, but be able to deliver results with incorporating manufacturers' products into the shows during the actual show, to go along with commercial breaks and that kind of exposure. But you got to be able to hunt, you got to be able to video, you got to be able to kill stuff, and you got to be able to keep sponsors happy. And I just had my whole life I've sold advertising and been involved in marketing. So I was kind of a weirdo to have all those skill sets that I could put together to make it all work, and it's worked out really well.
Now, how long into this were you doing it full time?
I had a job with corporate America, a company called Charter Communications. I worked there. I got to my 25th year. I started very young. And when I hit that 25 year, I think that was 7 years ago. And at that point, I decided, you know what, I'm going to retire from this job, and I'm going to put all my focus into improving the TV program and, really zeroing in and focusing all my energy during the week on that. And I was traveling with that job all over the country, managing, different groups of people in the Midwest, sales organizations. And so when I cut that out, it really gave me a lot of time to focus and take things to another level. And that's when things really, really started to improve. I could see a definite increase in, the quality, the sponsorship relationships, the travel plans, all of that. It worked out well.
How many people currently are on the Hardcore Pursuit team, like filming for you, in front of the camera?
I have 2 camera guys. The organization has changed a little bit. When I started this, I was, 30-ish, 28, 30-ish, somewhere in there. And I had a bunch of younger friends that weren't married, kind of had flexible jobs, no kids, that kind of thing. And as this thing has grown, a lot of those guys have families and kids and haven't been able to contribute as much. My co-host is a young guy named Mike Rasmussen. Well, he's not as young as he was. He was probably 20 when I started this, and now he's in mid 30s. And he's got a couple great little kids and a beautiful wife and a house, and he's an electrician. So he's really stays involved, but he hasn't been able to travel as much as I do now since it's my full-time job. So Mike's my co-host, been there since the beginning. We have a guy in Iowa, Corey Fritzler, who's a pro staffer, a guy in Illinois named Jeremy Leskowski, who's a pro staffer. We've got the Briggs brothers in down by La Crosse, Wisconsin, that is a pro staffer. And then there's a gentleman up believe it or not, someone that lives north of me, about 2 hours up in Houghton, named Josh Stein, who's also a pro staffer. So I run all the the adventure series shows where we'll leave in mid-August and go. I'll pick up my camera guy. I got 2 camera guys that I travel with. Most of the time it's a guy named Jordan Girardi, who came aboard, I think 6 years ago. I started working with him. So I hire him for about half the year, and he's a really good partner. We hunt very well together. He's a hunter, and he's also good with camera and everything. So that makes a big difference when you're spot stalking antelope and muleys and stuff like that. But I'll usually spend, I like to steelhead fish. Most people that know me know that I fish the Great Lakes steelhead quite a bit from late March, April, and in the beginning of May until the run's over. And then I start packing for my spring bear hunts. I'll usually head up to Manitoba and Saskatchewan for a 2-week swing through that area, and that'll usually kick off the season. And then I know that when I get home from that, which is usually about mid-June, that's when the work starts. That's when the packing starts. usually by then we're all done with the sponsorship. We're all done watching, the shows to proof them and make sure they air. We air third and fourth quarter, which is broadcast, the second 26 weeks of the year, right away in July, right through the end of the year. So we're on 26 weeks. And by the time we start traveling, the shows have been proofed, watched over, make sure that we like the way they flow and there's no glitches or video technical difficulties. And then it's all focused on, probably right around July 4th, it's pack. And that means going through all the camera gear, making sure that it's, working right. We have enough batteries, SD cards, backups to the backups, and packing a trailer. And it's a lot of work. And usually the first hunt is about mid-August. And that'll usually be some kind of Western spot and stock. Antelope in Montana is usually open then. Sometimes we hunt Utah for muleys. That's usually open then. And then we'll stick around hunting the West for probably August, September, sometimes into October.
That's awesome, man. So before I move on, I do need to give a quick thank you to my friends over at American Hunt. American Hunt is an Airbnb style land leasing, where you can lease land by the day. So, for instance, when I take my family on vacation in Colorado and I think, man, I'd really like to go hunt, but I don't have anywhere to go, or I'd really like to go fish, I can log on to American Hunt, see all the properties in my area, and I can lease land by the day, depending on what activity I want to do: fish, hunt, ride ATVs, camp, hike, whatever. And so I can find, in Colorado wasn't the best example because there's so much public land, but they have listings all across America. They even have some premium services where you can hop on a private jet, fly to your outfit, hop off and hunt, and then fly back. It's just an incredible thing. So go check out AmericanHunt.com. Now, Mike, run me through your 2020 successes, your 2020 failures. What was big for did COVID play a huge role in your 2020? Did it cancel a lot of hunts? How did your 2020 play out?
We had a tremendous year this past filming season. It was one of the best. Seems like the last 3 years have been, 2018 was the best, then 2019 was a little better, but we did really well this year. And I did miss out on, I think, six different trips, 6 shows. That would have been 2 spring bear hunts in Canada because the border was closed. Then I missed out on a trip we had to Argentina to bow hunt red stag in April. And then Saskatchewan rifle hunt, Alberta muleys, and Alberta moose. Those hunts all got erased. But honestly, one of the things that's really helped, hardcore pursuit out is doing this for so long. I mean, we're on 15 seasons, but we did about 17 seasons of filming. And in those times, we get partnered up with such great friends around the country and Canada, and landowners, farmers, ranchers, outfitters. And the thing that really helps us stay mobile is having everything we need. I got a 8.5 wide by 24-foot trailer. We pull it with a diesel. It's got 2 sleeping areas in it. It's got shelving. Too bad this wasn't a video. You'd see it. It's pretty impressive. I built a new one last year. So we have backups for all the hunting gear, broadheads, arrows, every piece of equipment you can imagine. We have backups to the backups. And the same thing goes with our camera gear. And we travel around, and it's so nice to have all these great relationships that say our swing is Montana, and then we're going to go to North Dakota and hunt whitetails, and then from there we're going to go to Colorado and hunt muleys or something. We go to Montana, say we're supposed to be there 7 days. We get our animal and enough footage to make a great show for one of our favorite outfitters. And then we're on the phone, hey, we're done. Care for coming over to North Dakota? Get over here, So that really helps out a lot. And when I was working for corporate America, we couldn't really do that. So being able to just have all the gear, packed into the trailer, a bunch of great connections, a bunch of great spots to hunt, and being able to be flexible and go, it saves time, gives us, maybe we needed more days on the next hunt, and that'll allow us to do that. And I always say we've got a trailer full of gear, a credit card, and a good attitude, we can go anywhere.
I like that, man. I like that motto and that mindset and that way of thinking. Run me through now. Are you? What will you be shooting for the 2021 season, bow wise, accessory wise? You're a huge fan of the SK2, am I correct?
Oh yeah, that is one heck of a broadhead. It's I really enjoy it. Bear came out with it a couple years ago, and I tried it once. We have an archery shop, my wife and son and I, that they pretty much run, but we started selling them in there and having good results with them. And I started using them a few years ago, and then they asked me to promote them, and they're a great broadhead. And I mean, just to tell you how great of a broadhead that is, we were hunting muleys in um, eastern Colorado this year in cornfields, spot and stock. Um, and I always tell everyone a close shot at a muley is 50 yards. They usually hang out where there's not much cover, but we got into 80 yards, and this target muley that we had identified kind of started walking up and gave me a nice broadside shot. So I drew back and sent the arrow, and that SK2 went right through the middle of its shoulder blade and buried into the next shoulder. And he ran about 50 yards and fell over. And for a mechanical broadhead to get that kind of penetration is outstanding. And I'm not talking the back of the blade. I'm talking right through the heart of the shoulder blade. Obviously, I wasn't aiming there. I was aiming a few inches back, but at 80 yards, you kind of have a little more margin for error. But I'm really, really happy with those broadheads.
Yeah, they are phenomenal, man. I same as you this year. I shot the deer weighed I told myself I'd remember a big bodied Kansas whitetail.
That's a big
with
one.
the SK2, and it ended up busting through both shoulders. And up until this year, I've always been a skeptic of mechanicals, but my mind has changed for sure. That thing performed flawlessly, and next week, on next week's episode, I've got a buddy, Grant Ledbetter, going to share a story about how he shot. I don't remember how many animals, but he shot several animals with the same SK2, and just kept washing it off and putting a clip back on it and shooting it again. And one of them was a turkey at like 62 yards.
Jeez.
And so just a phenomenal broadhead. Run me through the rest of your setup.
I get, whatever new bear comes out, I usually get them in early October to start using them. By then, we're usually whitetail hunting. This year, I had a status EKO that they came out. That was their 20 model and 19, I believe. Great bow, really smooth. And then this year they came out with the Redemption. And I'll tell you, the last 4 bear bows have been their best bow ever. Their high-end bow. So I got to hunt in Oklahoma and South Texas with the Redemption and put a couple nice animals down, and I'm very happy with it. It draws really smooth, almost zero hand shock, and their bears are known to be fast. They're very quick bows, just great for hunting. And I'm, outside of whitetail hunt, being able to go out west and shoot, 60, 70, 80 yards and get animals is pretty good. And I do love the bows for that.
Now, what are you shooting accessory wise on that bow?
I'm a big fan of the Trophy Ridge React Pro sights. I like the 7-pin myself. I'm very used to shooting it. That'll give me 80 yards. In fact, I wish I had a 9th pin, but I figured out that the top of the level bubble, I can put that on my target, and I think it's like 96 yards. There's a little bigger gap between the bottom pin and that. So that's a great sight. You sight it in at 20, then you back up to 30 and adjust the rest of the pins, and it sights all the rest of the pins in for you. It's awesome technology. I've been shooting those since they came out. They come out with a really nice drop away rest that you can lock your arrow in. So whether you're on a spot and stock, your final steps, or you're running over a hill to get in front of something, your arrow's not going to fly out. So those, and then this year I tried something unique. They came out with this stabilizer system that you got your front stabilizer, and then you got one to create some back balance. And one of the guys at the archery shop was setting the last year's bow up, and he put that on there as kind of a joke because I don't like anything extra on my bow, and they know that. But he put that on there, and I shot it in my range a couple times. I was like, wow, this feels really good. So I've actually been hunting with that setup, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I've been using the Hitman stabilizer kit
Yep.
for a couple years now, and I enjoy a 10-inch out front with a 6-inch in the back. I know they come as a 10 and 8 set, but I switched out the 8 for a 6, and that just offered me the best balance, and I've really, really enjoyed it. Just a fantastic stabilizer system. So I have a question for you. And
yes,
for somebody who's been with Bear for so long, what have you seen change over the years with Bear Archery? Because I've only worked with the guys for about 4 years now, and even myself have seen strides taken and just such incredible improvement in the company and the bows. And I actually did a podcast one time about 3 years ago, and the title of it was "What Happened to Bear Archery." And so for somebody who's been with the company for, you said 12 years, is that correct?
yeah, I think it's 11 or 12. It's a long time, that's for sure.
So what have you seen change with Bear Archery over the years, and what gets you excited for the future?
Like I said earlier, that I think their last 4 high-end bows have been better than the one before, and for them to be able to keep doing that is amazing. But yeah, in the beginning, the technology was, I don't want to say stagnant, it was just not quite what it is today. And they must have put some people in research and development, marketing, all areas of that company to work together and just keep making improvements. And then they keep coming out with more products. I mean, they've got drop away rests now that are as good as any on the market, great stabilizer systems, all that React technology. They've got single pin sights, and you buy those pro sights and there's very little plastic on them. They've got a lifetime warranty, and they're just so well made that you almost will never have an issue with them. So between all the research and development and production that they've put into the products, and then the marketing that they've been doing, it just seems like every year they just get better and better with everything. And I'm really proud to work with them. And it's almost hard to even, the products and the bows and the relationships and everything have improved so much the last 4 or 5 years that I can't even remember what it was like 12 years ago.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yep, that's exactly how it goes. And last year, shooting their bows, I was on a rampage last year. We got an antelope at 84 yards in Montana, 3 muleys, and 9 whitetails with my bear last year. It was a phenomenal year.
With the status, huh?
Yep. Well, the last few were with the new model, the Redemption. So as soon as that thing showed up in the box at the shop, I was anxious to get it out and try to get a few hunts with it.
So that Bear Archery has kind of switched their marketing scheme and slogan to the Fred Bear Way. When you hear the Fred Bear Way, A, what does it mean to you, and B, what does it mean to be a part of the Fred Bear Way?
It's absolutely awesome because as a kid, I remember as a kid, some of my friends were, I want to be this athlete or that athlete. And I remember being a little kid playing around mocking Fred Bear, like I want to be like Fred Bear and go hunt bow all over the place and do what that guy does. So since I was a kid, and especially being from Michigan, that's where Fred Bear is from. I mean, the old Fred Bear Museum was in Grayling, which is probably about 4.5, 5 hours from where I live. I got to go in there as a teenager. It was pretty cool. And what else is kind of neat? You may not know this, but the first year my show aired, I got an email from Ted Nugent, and he just told me how much he likes the show, and he loves seeing guys from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan represent Michigan, and that he watched it all the time, and he thought very highly of it, and gave me his phone number and told me to give him a call. I give him a call. We get chit-chatting and just keeping in touch. And he's like, you want to take my song Fred Bear, you can make that your intro song if you want. You can use it whenever you want in any show. So those probably second, third through 6 or 7 years, that was our intro. That song was the
That's awesome.
song. Yeah, it was really good. And then, we changed things up, and I try to make a new intro about every 3 years. Last year, 2 years ago, we wanted to tie the heritage of logging, which is very big up here. I live in very thick, dense forest land, and logging is a big part of our heritage. And I grew up around a lot of loggers. So I thought it'd be neat to incorporate that lifestyle and heritage into our intro. So we got together with a guy that's been a logger for about 60 years, 50 years at least. And he was kind of the character in our intro. And we blended that with the Northwoods and the hunting together. And it turned out really good. I really like the way the intro looks right now. We'll probably change it up maybe in 22 for our 15th season or something.
Awesome, man. Now I got a product question for you. I see that you are a fan of the Garmin Instinct, which that's one of my favorite watches of all time.
Yep.
I find myself going to it over my Garmin Fenix 6 almost every day, which is funny because you're looking at a $300 watch versus a $850 watch, but I just love it. Walk me through, and this is just kind of a personal question because I'm interested. How do you use that watch while you're hunting?
I can use it to track my steps. I don't really use it too much for hunting. I wear it because, phones die, get left behind, that kind of thing. And I really like just to keep track of my heartbeat. And I guess during the summer and spring when I'm working out real hard, I like to know my steps and, track some of my workouts. But I probably don't use this thing more than 25% of its capabilities, but I do like it a lot. And it's waterproof. I mean, go swimming, jump in the hot tub, do whatever you want with it. They're a phenomenal watch, that's for sure.
That's why I asked, because that's kind of how I feel. Is I don't use it's such a versatile watch, and you could literally use it for anything, and oftentimes I feel like I've never used it for its full potential, because now you've got Onyx built in your phone at your fingertips. I've got my InReach. I mean, I just find myself hardly ever using it to its maximum potential. That's why I asked. But so when it comes to Fred Berry, he was big on field notes. Share with me a field note you've learned over the years, just a quick little tip that I can take and put in my back pocket that'll make me a better hunter down the road.
Oh, there are a lot of them. I would say always have a spare bow with you on a trip. I tell guys that we own an archery shop, and guys buy bows, and I hear them say, "What do you think I can get for my old one?" And I say, "Well, if you're not hurting for a few $100, I would keep that bow and make it a good spare. You already have it. It's got a sight and rest on it. It's right there." And this could be just a guy that gets 2 weeks off a year, and he takes it off during the rut and goes to his hunting camp 40 miles from his house. And, I've been hauling one around for 30 years, even before TV. What happens if, John Doe is out at his deer camp hunting in the middle of nowhere, and he cuts his string with a broadhead or drops it out of the tree and breaks his sight off, or who knows what? He can go right back in instead of missing a few days or even messing his whole trip up, or rushing somewhere to buy a bow, maybe not getting the one you want, or not even being able to get one. You go back into your cabin, you grab your other bow, take a couple shots, climb up in the tree, and you're still hunting. You're not missing out. In my case, I've been hauling it around 30 years, and I've only used it 3 times, but 2 out of those 3 times I had a mishap during the middle of the day with my bow. I grabbed my spare, and that evening killed an animal with it. So that's a very important
That's
thing
awesome.
to have with you. Yep. Especially when you drive over one with a Suburban.
Yeah, that'll make all the difference in the world, having it then.
Yeah, exactly.
What bow do you keep right now as your backup bow?
I have my status from last year that put down so many animals.
Yeah.
EKO, and then the Redemption's #1. I usually, honestly, there will be usually 3 of them in my hunting trailer when we're traveling.
And that
all of them set up identical too. You know, the peeps are in the same spot, exact same rest, exact same stabilizer, exact same sight. Makes all the difference in the world.
and that status is one heck of a backup bow. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, I was incredibly impressed. We went down to South Texas this year with Alec from Bear there, and he brought along with him one of those little legits, you know, and we were shooting it out at the little range. And one of our guys that was with us, he's probably 6'4", 320, just a refrigerator of a man, and he was shooting that little bow. It looks so funny in his hands because he's such a giant. That bow is so small, but that bow is shooting so good, and he's, you know, a 30-inch draw length, and we got it cranked down to 70 pounds, and it's shooting so good that he's like, dude, I could take this out tonight and hunt with it. And and that's what he's going to have as his backup bow. And it's a bow that anybody can. I mean, you can go grab it for $200, $300, fully set up, and your kids can shoot it all summer, and your wife can shoot it all summer. And then when it's time to roll on a trip, you can sight it in for yourself and take it as a backup bow. So there's no excuse not to have one, especially when it can double all year long for your kids and wife to shoot and have a good time with. So absolutely a fantastic tip. And I always encourage people not only to have an extra bow, but, you know, whatever. And you can't really do it with a drop away because you can't tie a rest in when you're out in the middle of nowhere. But, you know, have a whisker biscuit, a second whisker biscuit tuned perfectly to your bow. And that way, if anything happens with your rest, you can bolt that whisker biscuit on and be ready to roll. And, you know, have an extra set of sights, have those things, have some D-loop material in your pack, and be ready for those types of situations. Plan for the worst and hope for the best. That's what I always say. But I will say this. I was impressed one time. I was running through southern Oklahoma, and I mean running. We were after a sonder of pigs, and I was sprinting through the woods with my bow in one hand and a camera in the other hand, and my foot gets caught up in some barbed wire, and I fall hard, and all of my weight moving forward and falling was caught by my React Trio sight, and I just thought, Lord, I'm done. Like, there's no way. Like, before I even looked at my sights, I'm like, crap, I've got to go resight in a bow. I've got to go get new sights on, and sure enough, the housing was loose. It had knocked the two set bolts loose, and so the housing was loose. So I go back to the truck and tighten those back down, get it lined back up, and that sight was good to go. So those Trophy Ridge sights are bomb proof, but always have an extra set just in case something crazy happens. Where can we watch Hardcore Pursuits?
Oh, we're on a number of platforms. You know, July through you know, the end of the year, we're on the Sportsman channel, and we're airing about 4 to 5 times a week there. Every year, 4 of the airings kind of changes its time slot a little bit, but the one staple spot we've had forever is in the Full Draw Friday. We're one of the last couple shows, and that comes on at 8:30 Central Time. That's a great spot. They also have the platform My Outdoor TV. You can catch years and years of episodes there. And there's a lot on Vimeo and YouTube. Some stuff not authorized, but hey, it's there. We're going to be working on our own YouTube channel with, you know, 15, 16 years of hunts, the short movies. We're working on that right now. That should be pretty exciting when we're able to roll that out. And, you know, the other thing that, you know, the Hardcore Outfitters online store, there's, you know, 12 seasons of DVDs available there too. So there's a lot of ways to catch up and watch a little HCP.
Awesome, man. So go check them out. Follow them on social media. An awesome group of guys to follow on social media. I love the content you guys put out. So make sure and go follow them on all their social media accounts. Mike, man, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your support of Bear Archery over 12 years now. Thank you for your support of Trophy Ridge. Thank you for your support of SICK. We know you're a huge proponent of SICK. and that makes me excited because I too have come to be a big fan of the sick broadhead lineup, and shooting the SK2 out of my compound, shooting the F4 out of my recurve, and just falling in love with their entire line of broadheads. So thank you for supporting SK2. And before we go, I do need to give a quick thank you to our friends over at Three Rivers Archery. They're your one-stop shop for anything traditional. So whether you need some new arrows, some broadheads, anything for your recurve and longbow setups, they are the experts to help you figure out what you need. And then they have the largest in stock supply of all those traditional needs, so they have same day shipping to get you your stuff just as quick as possible. So go check out Three Rivers Archery. I know I have personally blown up their customer service, just asking them questions about arrow setup, arrow tuning, whatever it may be. Fletchings was the most recent thing, and just running through different feather configurations with them on the phone. So go check out threeriversarchery.com because they are a powerhouse of traditional archery. Mike, man, thank you so much for coming on. I wish you all the best of luck for your 2021 season, and can't wait to watch it unfold, my friend.
All right. Thank you much, and hit me up anytime.